Good evening. My name is Ian Blackburn, and every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, I decide to get some good folks together to talk about wine here at Zoom into Wine. And tonight we're talking about some. Good evening. My name is Ian Blackburn, and every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. So I intend to talk tonight about some alternative white wines, and brought together a really nice lineup of wines for us to consider. This time of year, we're going in between seasons. We're moving from the cool to the warm, and there's some diet changes, some menu changes. So I pulled together some fun wines to kind of take us through the different parts of the year, different moments, different cuisines. And quite frankly, these are just grape varieties that are a little less thought of that I wanted to pay some attention to, and some really good examples. I mean, these are top wines. You guys are in for a special treat. This class is a little smaller than our normal session, so I appreciate you guys being here very much. But when you take some chances and you go off into the unknown, you just don't know how people are going to react. And these wines are really, really special, things that I'm very passionate about. And I think you guys are really going to be in for a special treat here. Now, first thing I need to do is get my Coravin. Okay, got my Coravin. And we are going to pour in this order. We're going to go from the Macias Molly from Royal Tokai, which is a dry ferment wine. Then we're going to go over here to the Chocolina, and my slideshow will go in this order. So kind of like this, we're going to go 1, 2, then we'll go 3, 4, and 5. So we'll go from the dry ferment to the Chocolina to a wine from Ojai, from my friends at Wallace and Holland, to one of the great collectibles in the Loire Valley, Coulis de Sirent from Nicolas Joly. Then we're going to finish up with a very unique wine from Corsica. And so definitely the road a little less traveled tonight, taking a few risks and showing off some great stuff. I think you guys are going to be really pleased with the results of this tasting. Let's go into our slideshow. And yeah, I kind of think of this as like a radio station. This is the one to tune into. Some really great whites that you'll never see these in the grocery store, unless it was like a super special grocery store. Maybe the first one you might find in a Hungarian grocery store. So let's get into our first wine. And it has been a long and beautiful day. My Los Angeles Dodgers had a very good day. We had a grand slam today to beat a very good Minnesota Twins team. Wow, it was tough. And I was very happy to see the Dodgers succeed today. So don't know if you've been to Hungary or the region of Tokai, but this is a very important wine, typically thought of in the dessert wine category. And for years, I have been trying to enjoy dry ferment wine, and I've been waiting for this category to improve. There are still some questionable wines being made that are called dry ferment, but I really think this particular producer and this particular bottling and going forward, this is going to be something you can count on, because they've really incorporated some great technology, some ideas, and really polished this category up, and the future is very bright. Here's a look at the bottle. This is wine number 1. The company is called Royal Tokai. They are a very important house in Hungarian Tokai. I am now pouring my wine with my Coravin. I'm going to take off my screen so that we can see each other without my hands disappearing, etc. But yeah, this is the house that's really on top of the category, and Let me just see what I have to do here. I have to remove my virtual background. Yes, thank you. There we go. And I'm using the Coravin on it so that I can save it for another day when I'm going to take it out for dinner. I'm probably going to take this out, quite frankly, for sushi. This is going to be one of my go-to raw fish wines, grilled fish. This is a great summer find. Get some in the glass. Continuing to move forward into the slideshow, just give you a little bit more info. Some details here. The grape is called Ferment. And when they make it as a dessert wine, they make it and they pick the dry white, and then they pick the raisinated botricized berries. They take the botricized berries, they smash it into a paste, and then they add buckets of that paste called petunos to the dry wine. There's 3 petunio, 4 petunio, 5 petunio, 6 petunio wines, and then there's just pure a wine that they make from purely the juice in the must and the paste, called the essencia or essence. Frankly, I love exploring the dessert wine space. I find pleasure in different spots there. 5 petunio, 6 petunio are really where I think it's amazing. There's a reason that they don't just make essencia all the time. It's just way over the top sweet. But here, this is just the best grapes in the vineyards from the best vineyards. And this is called a great growth. And they have been making wine off of this site for a very long time. They have several top vineyard sites. This is Macias Molly. This is what it's called. It's a very famous vineyard. Let's just take a look at what that looks like. Here it is. And this property, of course, we had this country that fell to communism, had some very tough times in the wine industry. The wine industry collapsed. And when communism fell, investors started swooping in and pulling some things together. And Royal Tokai Company was pulled together by a bunch of wine experts, and it was really set up and had some of the best of everything. They were first, and they came in and got some of the best vineyard holdings, built beautiful state-of-the-art winemaking facilities, and they've returned to grandeur as the leading brand in Tokai. Now, this dry category is like the next frontier. So we're moving out of, the repair phase of the country, as it's now fully established that Tokai is a very important wine. But now they're exploring the drier categories. Of course, dessert wine's not always an easy sell, but this is in the dry state. Before we move to our Chocolina, I'm just going to stop and enjoy this wine with you for a second. Take a look at it. It's got kind of a peachy tone in the glass. The nose, the first thing you get is just crazy minerality. The smell, the rock, the stone, this varietal. It is pretty aromatic, but in kind of its own unique way. There's not much to compare it to. Chiseled. I mean, it is just stone, stone, stone. In the mouth, it's got this richness and roundness, but there's nothing sweet about this wine. And as it's now kind of taking my palate for the first sip of wine of the day, boy, that feels good. A little bit of wine. I can really feel the acidity just sharpening up my palate, cleaning up my palate, stimulating my appetite. And now we can start talking about that food pairing, some sashimi, or maybe some crudo, or you could take it into Italian dishes where they slice the fish thin with some olive oil, some salt, um, Japanese, of course, all that umami flavors would work really well into this. Um, anything near the coast, and it could be any of um, seafood. I think it's quite practical to target this into any type of dish. And I'm just really think it's fun to find new things that you enjoy. And this has been something I've been pulling for the last couple of weeks and taking out and sharing with some people. And that's what we're doing here. Really delicious. I hope you enjoy. It is very dry though. And so some of you, I'd love to hear your comments, your quotes. There is even a spot on our board that you can make some chat notes and let me know what you think. That was wine number one. That is our dry ferment from Hungary, from Royal Tokai Company, and I feel better already. Moving into wine number two. Wine number two, I opened, and this is my second time around with this fantastic Spanish find called Chocolina. What does that mean? That means I bought a case last year. I loved it. I showed it around. I went to order more and it was gone. And I never thought I'd see it again. The inbox, a new supplier with this brand. I was so happy. It's still a good deal. Not as good a deal as it was, but we're up in northern Basque country, right outside of Bilbao, San Sebastian. You're going to the coast. You're going to eat some more seafood. You're going to have some small bites on grilled bread, some shrimp, some cheese, little Spanish, type of omelette-y stuff, egg, cheese, shrimp, chorizo, jamon, all different types of tapa. Here's a look at the bottle. It's in Basque, so it might be a little imposing. And in case you've never tried it before, you're not the first. A lot of people haven't tried these wines. They're quite a discovery. Now, the grapes here are Folie Blanche and Hammurabi Zuri. Now, Folie Blanche is not the most famous name for this grape variety, but you can find it in France called Picpoul. And it's not, I do believe the grape is alive and well. It's just kind of going through a phase where you don't see a lot of Picpoul out there, but I'm seeing more and more of it planted in California. So it's going to come back because it's a fun, fresh, lively grape variety, stimulating. And Hammurabi Zuri is capable of kind of like a Chenin Blanc approach, going from sparkling to dry to very off dry, and it has quite a bit of application. I believe this property does this really well. And this property, by the way, I think, did I read this is like how many years they've been farming this land for a long time, and they've been investing in this property since 1995 with some different regions, but the family's gone through many different phases, and lots of inheritance, and moving the property from being an apple orchard to growing grapes, and now they're very focused on very historical indigenous grape varieties and making some of the best wine in the region. Beautiful, beautiful home, beautiful property, hillside exposure. This is a look at the vineyard. Here's again the bottle, $25. And if you go to San Sebastian and you were in a little store, gosh, I don't know what you would pay for this bottle, but it might be 10 euro in over there. Again, with the golden kind of straw color. The nose, you smell just a little bit more of that salty air. From the ocean, and I get a range of things like a kind of a sheep's milk cheese to some really nice fruits. You can really go through the gamut of fruits from peaches to figs. I mean, it's all in there. I think it's quite the presentation is quite complex, but it's a value. But there's so much here that I really love it, and I put it in a flight with wines that are 3 times as expensive. You could take this to any meal. You could replace Chardonnay with this wine. You could have it as an aperitif, or you could have it right with a beautiful main, some wonderful chicken. I think it's just a wine that's to be discovered, and the price point is great. Got a really big mouth feel. It leaves your mouth feeling fairly clean. There's no use of real heavy wood here. I think it just leaves your mouth really nice and inspired. Great for the type of tapa cuisine that we were discussing. But I think it just would be fun to take this out to dinner anywhere and have it around the dinner table. I love Chocolinas. They do range, be careful, because this one specifically is dry. Not that dry, but dry enough to have with fine cuisine. And some of them are slightly effervescent, and some of them have some higher residual sugars. This one is done in an approach that I would put into that Chardonnay, terroir driven, clean, fresh, but also a little bit more oomph than a lot of wines at this price point, and certainly a lot of quality marks here. So I'm really impressed with this wine. It's my 2nd year buying it. This is 2021. The last one was, I believe, a 2019. I'd have to check, but obviously they've got some good winemaking, great vineyards, and really good vision for this wine. Now, the next wine, we're going to leave Europe, and we're going to go to a combination of vineyards in the Happy Canyon area with a new brand called Walson Holland. This will be wine number 3. This is a really up and coming brand, and I won't be able to even talk about this wine for very much longer, because I really think these guys are going to rock it. And let me just get into the next couple of pages here, and you'll see why. What we're going to taste here is a blend of different Rhone varieties: Marsanne, Viognier, Grenache Blanc, and Roussanne. They're put together by a very good and a capable winemaker who has worked at some of the best brands in the business worldwide. He worked at Costa Brown, Sinquanon, down in New Zealand at Amsfield. All of those are best of class wine producers, and he has developed his style. Now here he's setting out to make a Rhone white blend, and I think you're going to really love the exotic nuances in the nose of this wine. Judicious use of wood, that's giving us the color, that's giving us the concentration, that's giving us the power, the depth. The nose has that kind of nice vanilla There's a creaminess to it, a roundness, a thickness, a weight, concentration. You could think of the hills in the Happy Canyon being quite warm, and that really exaggerates the everything from the floral notes in this wine to the richness of this wine, very much in the front of the palate. You can really smell and feel this wine, but there's great winemaking. So he's been able to balance all these different components to make something that's really kind of complete, seamless, with great tension and weight and complexity. It's truly a remarkable white. Here's Benjamin Holland. There he is in the vineyard. And here's his bottle, $75. This is a small producer making very high-end wine. You can smell the detail. You can taste it. Let's get some in the glass. I spend time tasting wines from all over the place, all over the world for the wine store and for a couple of my restaurant clients. There's always going to be a list of Chardonnays, a list of Sauvignon Blancs, a list of, the red wine favorites, the Pinots, the Cabs, the Bordeaux blends. Wines like this can get a little lost, and so it needs an audience. They have a tasting room in Ojai. They pull together some really fantastic guests. And so if you want to go to Ojai Mission Inn, ask them where to go wine tasting, they're probably going to refer you to Walson Holland. And they have a tasting room right down the street. You got a private appointment. Go in there. They take really good care of you. They're going to start you with this wine because this is the only white. I think they do make a Chardonnay now. Very good single vineyard Duarte Chardonnay. But they also continue to knock it out with this one. Can you smell that? It smells a little honeyed, but this is not sweet. It's just got a honeyed, floral, lots of herbs and spices, the vanilla. Yes, Setsuko, you made a comment about the net, like Rioja, the authenticity from northern Spain. So yes, that's also a touch on the Chacolina. And I'd love to hear any comments you have about this one here. It's exotic, nuanced. I think it even tastes expensive. I mean, it's got a richer fullness and a lot of dense character, but without being harsh or bitter or anything. It's really, really a beautiful wine. We used it recently in a class, wine, cheese, and chocolate. It was a big hit and people really enjoyed it. Probably a favorite wine of the day. And I did taste this wine with some great Basque cheese. Actually, I had the Basque wine also with us, and we loved them both. And when it came down to it, the people like the price of the Basque wine and the quality of this one. But this were both very much enjoyed. And when we put just a little kiss of honey on the cheese, and then we had it with this wine, we really picked it up a notch because it played right into the hand of this wine. So yeah, we carry all these wines at the Merchant of Wine, our little online wine store. We started Zooming during the pandemic. We will continue to Zoom every Wednesday, small group or large group. We do make some major events happen on Zoom as well, But by getting us together every week, we continue a little rhythm, and we make these beautiful little jars with the little tasting kits and get them out and delivered all over the place. And so we hope that you guys will continue to support the Zoom into Wine efforts. And here are some of the future ones. We have a really fantastic Rhone event coming up on May 31st, Mega Paso Robles wines. I think you'll be very impressed with the lineup that we have coming from Paso. Then we're going to go to Sicily with wines from Mount Etna. And we got this killer Zinfandel gathering. And then we're going to be with Adam Tolnick, who's the winemaker at Ojai, and he's going to give us his time for an evening. So plan over the next month to be with us as much as you can, because we've got some really special events, and we're about to post all of July and August. By the next week, you'll see everything all the way through the summer. I'm ready to go on to the next wine, if my slideshow will let me. There we go. You ready for wine number 4? Here we go. This time we're going into the Loire Valley, and as good as the Walson Holland wine was, and may still be at the end of the program, you may love that wine as much as any of them. This is nobility right here. This is craziness that I've included it this week, but I want to be able to taste some great wines, great people, and this is no exception right here. This is Nicolas Joly. This is Coulis de Sauron, the Clos de la Coulis Sauron. This is his great vineyard that's been farmed and harvested for 900 years. That's what we're talking about, legacy. This is a great wine. Now, Mr. Joly is absolutely the face of biodynamic wine production, and certainly has a vineyard to lean on to say, this is how you're supposed to do it. This is how we do it. And, we make really beautiful wines because we do it this way. I am pretty certain I can say that very few people have the same type of success with the biodynamic approach that this family does. This family this property just leans and supports everything that the Nicolas Joly, the brand, the family believes in. And it works out magically in these wines. But it's nice to have a 900-year head start in knowing how to do things. And so that's what we're talking about here. This is 100% Chenin Blanc, and we're right outside of, we're right along the Loire Valley River, right outside of Savennières. In fact, I want to stop the slideshow and just kind of show you something else. Let's see if I can do that easily. I went to the Joly website for the property, and it talks about how it was planted in 1130. The monks planted this vineyard. Take a look at, that's where you can see it on the map. Now here's what's cool, so we can zoom in or out. Let's go in. You can see right where we're at. So get closer and closer. We are right outside of Savennières right here. Domaine Amoin, or really good producers right there. Joly's right there. And this is the address that the GPS is picking up for this estate. Really an important property. And Savennières is a very important wine made from Chenin Blanc. but they do it a little differently. So they don't even mention much that it's a Sauvignon. It says Sauvignon on the label in the address, but this is appellation Coulis de Syrah. It's got its own appellation. So that's pretty damn cool. And you've done things well when the government has given you your own appellation. So let's go back into our PowerPoint, and hopefully everybody can see my PowerPoint at this time. Here they are working, the family's working in the vineyard. And the next generation is getting ready to take over operations. Here's our bottle. Comes in at about $140 for Chenin Blanc. That's a statement right there. Again, I'm corvining this wine. What's so cool about this wine is because of their winemaking technique and philosophy. There's no protection on this wine. It was bottled without any preservatives, any additional sulfur, unfined, unfiltered. The wine grapes were picked when they believed that it was going to show off the vineyard the way they want to show it off. Is full of ripeness, full of detail. There is some very ripe features in the nose here. Let's take a look. Some apple, some quince. Chenin Blanc isn't known to be a very aromatic grape variety, but it's a special one. It has some nice ageability to it. Even a wine like this without any protection, 15, 20, I'm sure they've got examples at the winery that are really old, and this wine will continue to add color, get thicker, get denser, get more interesting. This is a baby. This is the 2020. And we smell, again, some of those sheep kind of cheese aromas, some white flowers, a little honeyed note again. This wine is really alive. It is untamable, meaning it is going to be what it is every single day and be a little unpredictable. We open these bottles, we experience them for where they're at. They're being influenced by the sun, the moon, the state of the weather, the tides. Everything is impacting the character of this wine. Everything's impacting us. I think it's really a contemplative wine. You have to almost appreciate everything that they believe at the winery and their philosophy to really engage this wine at the highest level and to celebrate this wine with the best moments in life and the best cuisine and the best places. I'm thinking I'm going to start off with a base of some celery root puree. I'm going to potentially do some things like some candied yams. I'm going to have a turkey breast, or I'm going to have a chicken breast, or I'm going to have a piece of fish. No, I think I'll stay away from fish with this wine. I think I'll stay right in the game or bird zone with some I could use some goat cheese for sure. Certainly going to do some roasting of the vegetables. I'm going to use some roasted bird with quite a bit of like stuffing opportunities. I think this wine would be amazing with Thanksgiving. I think this would be amazing with stuffing. I think it would be amazing with the yams, the potatoes, the celery root. That's what I'm feeling tonight. And tomorrow, if I tasted this wine, I'd probably give you a totally different menu, because that's what you will get when you taste this type of legendary wine. And anytime you can build a reference and say, hey, I've tasted that wine and I've had it with a certain type of cuisine, your life is improved because you've been able to do that. It's just really, that's how magical this wine is and how special it is. I did not mean to purposely rush in through each of these wines at all. But I'm excited, and we're covering a lot of ground, and we're moving from dry to wines that have a little off dry. And we're going to continue that pace as we now go to Corsica. And we're going to taste a wine that is frequently made in Corsica, but Muscat in Corsica does tend to be very sweet. And when you hand it to this family, they chose not to go as sweet. They use fully ripened processes. This wine carries a good amount of sugar and a good amount of alcohol. And Corsica, is a wonderful place to grow things. Here we're looking at a family that's been making wine for a short period of time, about 20 years old for the domain, but really started making their own wines about 10 years ago. They were growing grapes before that. The wine, the grape is Muscadelo, and it's a part of the Muscat family. Here, they are not adding any alcohol to the wine to fortify it and to keep the sugars high. They're allowing it to naturally ferment. A little different than the other styles of Muscat in the South, Baume de Venise and wines like that. They fortify them to keep the sugar high. Here, this is just a ripe cuvee. You can see the color. They do some little oxidative processes, allowing for some of that color to take part of the wine. It has almost like an orangish peach color, like a sunset. Some in the glass. When I tasted this wine with the Hermit Lynch family, they have quite a fantastic Corsican portfolio. I tasted this wine. I'm like, that is so cool. It's so different. It's so unique. It's so fun. And I envision having this, quite frankly, with like some curry. I love eating Indian curries, Japanese curry, having it, you could have the curry with like mussels, you can have it with seafood, you can have it with chicken, you can have it with lamb. Curry is a fantastic dish, and it's year round. I don't think there's ever a bad day for curry. It's a hearty dish though, and can be quite a spicy dish. And you want something with a little bit of residual to take on those spices and that character. So here, again, I don't know if you can see that nice oxidative, maybe even a little skin contact was here. And here you can almost smell the sunshine, the wind blowing through this warm island environment. You get that heat, that the alcohol. You get the almost sunburn on the raisin. You can almost smell just a little bit of that. as you taste that, just a little bit of sweetness here. It really kind of plays towards the drier side. You get that ripeness on more than sweetness. How about that? This is really a different wine. It says it's got about 35 grams per liter of residual sugar. That's less sweet than a dessert wine. It is off dry, but not super sweet. I would also love this with cheeses. Oh man, this is so good with cheese. And it's not like a wine that you're going to sit down and want to drink a bottle of probably all by yourself. It's not that type of wine. But it is a wine that would make a really cool companion for the right food at the right time in the right place. It's called Morta Mia, and it's really special from a special, beautiful part of the world in Corsica. Look at the soils. Come on. That is crazy stuff right there. And here is our bottle of wine coming in around $58, a very small production. Not going to sell a ton of this wine. Nobody is. They don't make a ton of this wine. Just a special little find to kind of accent your meal, a really unique experience, and to kind of contemplate Muscat. I think it's a really cool example of Muscat that quite often gets left behind the conversation. Muscat can be a really cool grape variety. It's just often made in a very, very sweet format. So with that, I'm going to finish with just a couple of ideas to see if you guys will come back and see me again. We were not successful at selling next week's dessert wine program, so I'm not going to talk about it. It had some really high-end dessert wines, and I knew I was taking a risk. But at some point in time, we'll incorporate those into other programs and stuff like that. So I get the next week off, which is great, because next week we're doing our Stars of Napa Valley in LA on Thursday, and I'm going to need every minute to work on that. So come and meet me at the Stars of Napa Valley Wine at Test Restaurant. There is a very strong discount being offered to get large number of people. We've got 25 winemakers flying down from the Napa Valley, 25, pouring 60 wines right on Sunset Boulevard, overlooking all of West Hollywood, a beautiful view. Tess is a great restaurant. We'll be outside. We'll raise some money for charity that night. And I got to have a few people. So we put out a discount code for the 7 and the 7:30 time slot. They're half off. We want hundreds of people to come, and it's a new day, so we need to get out there and meet some new people. We're hoping the discount code helps us with that, so use that. It's called Flash 50. If you want to join us, you can get that. And then the week after, we'll do our mega Paso Robles tasting with some really, really insane wines from Paso, and we'll just keep the momentum going with what we're doing every Wednesday here, tasting some great wines, taking some chances, being able to explore all that is great wine, and not settling for tasting the most famous and the most popular every week. But sometimes we do that too. So check out Zoom into Wine. Stay tuned. Thank you for your success tonight. We have a lot of our members on the line this evening. If you're not a member, you can still become one, and you get invited every week. And it is wonderful to spend this evening with you tasting some beauty. So I hope you enjoyed them.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Sure.
Cheers.